Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the the SpongeBob coloring right here is so far as SpongeBob reading coloring is I went ahead and drew right here is a picture of a SpongeBob. It's like so far as SpongeBob SquarePants it is, and then of course what I went ahead and add right here of course is the color details right here of a SpongeBob, and of course that talking about with reading, which most of us when we're in school that you probably think about is that yeah, I went ahead and used it's like looked at a picture whenever I drew this, but then of course on the other hand too that is that I more would add in the details of it's like is that what I add right here is you got it's like with the e-reader along with the cell phone and along with the calculator it is, but you see right here is I went ahead and added it's like for SpongeBob it is. It's like kind of blend the colors in together. It's like go ahead and put a little bit more blend right there on that side. But for SpongeBob and of course with my version, like you say, the way I drew the SpongeBob character was knowing about is like you got the glasses, and then of course is the color and a little bit of outlines right here with SpongeBob. With most children, maybe most adults, parents, it is that you probably think about is with reading. That a lot of times, if you were to read a book, a storybook, a lot of times, and I remember that a couple of times that we would go to the library together a lot of times, and whenever we would go to the library, that we would check out books. I remember I checked out a couple of books and then every once in a while that they would have movies that you can check out along with maybe a few comic books it is, but talk about with SpongeBob is that with the SpongeBob character is knowing about that really that what would make a reading a little bit more exciting for most children it is for most people. It's like with most of children, whoever say maybe students who may have difficulties with understanding and with learning, maybe having vision problems, whatever it is. A lot of times it may occur with the students or whoever the kids that may have a few vision problems. Like I have some vision problems also, but it's like with that without my glasses, of course, that the vision of course is like that read the number on the board it is, and then of course you say is that the number could be it's like for lowercase a, and then go ahead and go to it's like see here got these different color here A and B and D, see here JR, so you do JR, and then of course that a lot of us probably think about is that to read those, and then of course it's like kind of looks like this whenever you're looking at the board. Add a little bit of black right there, and then of course add a little bit of crayon. It's like that, whenever you're looking at a board, sometimes it looks kind of like that, fuzzy, maybe not as fuzzy as that, but like an example of knowing about is like what try to read the letters on the board, or it's like if it's letters or numbers. I remember whenever I passed the written test for my driver's license, I remember that they test you on your vision a lot of times, and with the with your reading skills it is that they would they would tell you to put your head up towards this device here, that they would test your eyes for the vision test it is. And a lot of times that the eyes that whenever I first passed the test, I remember this. This was over a decade ago. That whenever, because I had my permit, I had not my driver's license, but I had my learner's permit for about 5 years before I actually got my license. And I remember that they would test your eyes, and a lot of times is that I remember whenever I first passed the written test for my learner's permit, that I remember that I would take the vision test, and a lot the person there would be like they're numbers, you're supposed to read them by the numbers, if it's 4 or 5 or an 8 or 12 or anything like that. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about is like with the devices that with the say the gadgets that we have for our reading tools. It's like with most of what you can buy at the store nowadays. If it's an e-reader, as a e-reader or a Page Bright or anything like that, some the stuff that you can normally buy at the store, for helping you read, is like you got right here. As I say, the old reading glasses, the old pair of reading glasses, and of course with the magnifying glass. And then you got right here is the Page Bright right here. You got the Page Bright. It's like you got this device, and then of course it's like you got my old cell phone. It's like knowing about exactly that. It's like it's trying to read the numbers on there. It's like talking about trying to dial the telephone number, and along with reading the numbers on a calculator. It is. And then knowing about reading about really the purpose, whole purpose about I'm trying to say how do you work this this device here, which most people probably think about whenever you first buy an e-reader. Of course, that you could probably think about that there may be some accessories, such as maybe a camera or anything like that, a manual that so far as reading goes, that you could probably think about, hey, yeah, that this needs more accessories than what I thought it was. It's like so far as like reading a GPS navigator, it is that you probably think about that that a lot of stuff. And I remember whenever I used to go shopping, I still go shopping, but the past times whenever I did go shopping, a lot of times is that I would go to a register, it is, and then if I'm paying by credit card or Visa, it is that or cash. I hardly ever pay cash, but if I were to be swiping my card, maybe my insurance card, it is that more likely to know about hey, it's like you read the letters and then it only gives you a certain amount of time really to say debit or credit, which most of them would say that that they would run it as a lot of times is run it automatically, or do it like say another transaction, or if it'll tell you if it was declined or anything like that. But anyway, anything that you try, I guess you'd say just give yourself an A+ for that. It's like what most teachers probably think about is like, that really your assignment was due today. Your assignment was due today and I need it. Like, well, it's not ready yet. I really don't want to do it either. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about with SpongeBob is like you don't need to give yourself that clowny look on their face either. Is knowing about that, with most kids, like with me, that I was the type of person who didn't really want to do homework either. That I remember whenever I was in school that hey, like they would tell you what homework is. What is homework? You do it at home. But on the other hand, too, I was like, well, whenever I get home, I want to relax, and watch TV. I don't want to deal with maybe about 2 or 3 page, paperwork or anything like that. Especially with our taxes, that the things that they want you to read so far as how much money you make. Other than that, knowing about really. One thing that maybe they can know about, of course, is like the type of it's like really that which most of the time, if it's filing your taxes or anything that you're doing nowadays, with most growing, is like kids between the age of 18 and 19, it is, especially it's like that if you were to be paying your bill online, it is that a lot of times, hey, you have to be 18 in order to place your order. It is, and a lot of times you'd probably say, why? Well, we want to make sure that there ain't no orders that they're knowing about. It's like any kids, calling just to order a product or whatever you call it. But other than that is knowing about with SpongeBob. If I could maybe draw like I'm going to say real quickly, is like I draw like a little bubble right here. It's like so far as a bubble. It feels like we fill that bubble right there with a little bit of a color aid. But other than that, knowing about is like SpongeBob. And so far as SpongeBob and SpongeBob reading color.